The advice that I'm going to give is just a truism that you already know, but it reminds me of the good Buddhist mantra that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Hi, my name is Andrew Lee. I'm a partner at Initialized Capital. I'm going to talk to you about follow-on fundraising. That means you've already raised, take for example, a seed round, and you're going to raise your next round. The biggest thing that I think that's important with folks who are raising their Series A is that they think that it's the end-all be-all to their startup. Raising funding is only weakly correlated to your success. It is only a method to get more resources to get you to the goal. The only reason why you're fundraising, again, is not to check off the box, not to say that you've raised this round, not to get yourself in TechCrunch or Business Insider or any of those other places. The only reason why you're fundraising is because you want to make your business move faster. The first thing is, let's say that your company is about to get to its next step. You're ready to go ahead, you've figured out product market fit, you've gotten you have sales, you're getting to quite a bit of revenue, but you need to put fuel on the fire, as they say. We want to get all of our companies the best possible deal, not just in terms of valuation, but in terms of working with the right partner, getting the right amount, and something that fits them. So we're gonna go through a couple things that are pretty important. So the first is how do you get in front of a potential investor? You generally know this, but you want to go through people who are warm introductions to people that you admire and you respect. And more importantly, also people who are admired and respected by the investor. That means cold emails are a surefire way to get yourself a no. So we at Initialized in particular, we tell a lot of folks, hey, talk to our portfolio founders. We trust them a lot. We've obviously given them money. The same thing should be the way that when you talk to potential investors. Now, let's say that you have that introduction to an investor. You shouldn't go in unprepared. How do you prepare yourself in order to be able to have the best fundraise? Now, you would expect me to typically say, a typical investor would probably say, oh, have a deck, have a memo, have this data ready to go, have your revenue model. That's not the most important thing. I think the most important thing for you as a founder is to actually be able to tell a story. I think there's 4 things that people really forget. Number 1, brevity is the soul of wit. In particular, you won't have a lot of time to tell your story, so know how to tell your story concisely and more importantly, in a pithy manner. Being able to say your life story very quickly and to show that you are the person on this hero's journey to fulfill the goal of your startup is number 1. Number 2, secrets create friends. Now, this is sort of crazy to say, and no one was really gonna tell you this, but almost every investor is looking for you to tell them something that they don't know, something that you've gained through the journey of your startup that nobody else quite understands. And that's actually the element of true friendship, right? You yourself can probably remember the times when if everybody has access to some bit of information on the schoolyard, then nobody really has access, right? Secrets create friends, and more importantly, that's the element for you to create a strong social connection with that particular investor. The third thing here, dovetailing on that, is that they want to know that they'll be transported into the future. Instead of telling them a secret from the past, you want to tell them the secret about the future. And transporting the future is really important because many times you see founders just talk descriptively about what they've done. But in no way does this tell the investor how they want to basically change the world or have a story about the future. And the very last thing is then you want to be able to tell the investor a story about why you, as a person and a protagonist in this story, are the correct hero. That you want to be that person who is the hero on the journey. You want to make the investor think, hey, this hero, I want to follow her. I want to follow her into the depths of hell because she knows something that no one else knows. There's a lot of feeling about it. And it's odd because you'd expect that it's only about revenue models and Excel spreadsheets, but it's actually very much about the story that you tell other people. So let's say that you're pretty good at the story, right? You've nailed the story. You have a good sense as to your place in the universe, as well as how you have strong universal resonance with your startup. Much like Odysseus, you're going to find yourself with many trips and travails and many ways to basically cut you off from your path. In particular, those things are what we call the gotcha game. That all they want to do is find something, a little thing or a big thing. They want to find that thing to basically kick you out the door, to basically throw you off your course. One of the simple things is, do spelling mistakes annoy you? Do buzzwords annoy you? Find out what those things are. Now, in general, I think there are general cognitive biases that people say, hey, spelling mistakes aren't that big of a deal. To be fair, I agree. I don't really care about spelling mistakes, but there's a ton of investors who really care about spelling mistakes, because if you can't pay attention to that detail in the very short amount of time that you're talking to somebody, then they will think that you won't care about the details of your business. The other thing that's important is you have to speak the language of the investor. And that doesn't mean that, if you're talking to a Chinese investor, you should speak to them in Chinese. The problem there is that most people are not speaking the correct language. You need to know sort of what are the metrics that they care about. If it's enterprise, for example, they'll definitely care about lifetime value, cost of acquisition. If they're consumer, any investor worth their salt should care about cohort analysis and retention and long-term retention. That's the type of language that we're talking about. Whether it's in your materials, right, in the deck that you have, in the data room that you have, the way you structure some of your memos, or the way that you speak in a business language, that's very important to understand what is the language that person speaks. Now, you'll want to go ahead and prepare, say, 20 minutes of material for like an hour meeting, but some people think that it's just a speech. You're basically orating as if you were Homer. That's definitely not the way to go. Think of yourself in the Odyssey. Instead of being the person who's just orating to the audience, you're actually speaking with the chorus. The chorus is the investor. You're having a dialogue between each other. And only until you can have that dialogue do you know that you're actually you're speaking the language to each other. Basically, if you can't connect with the investor, you're pretty much dead in the water. You know for a fact that you're not speaking their language. You have an understanding of the metrics. You're about to go and meet the investor, and you're going to go in. Well, the number one thing you want to do is you want to practice. You want to practice. Like, I can't say this enough. We'll have Allen Iverson say it.
Listen, we're talking about practice.
Just practice. That's what we're talking about. Just practice. Now, there's 3 individuals that I think you should practice in front of. 1, you should practice in front of your existing investors. 2, you should practice in front of portfolio founders or founders that are connected to the investor. In particular, if they've been invested in by the investor, that's the best type of founder that you should talk to. When you talk with other founders who've actually recently pitched to the investor, that's one of the best ways to know that you're kind of hitting the right thing or you're getting the right types of feedback. There are some investors who may not be high on your list, and you think that maybe you should only start out with the folks that are very, very high on your list. You should opportunistically maybe talk to some of those other folks and get a sense as to whether they have some very simple gotchas. And if you can catch those gotchas and you can answer them, and lo and behold, maybe they may even give you a term sheet, that'll actually push the whole process along. Now, some folks think, well, if I just pitch enough times and I meet 100 investors, that's like the best thing. And I'm just going to do this for however long. I'm just hell or high water. I'm gonna do this. Much like Odysseus, you should not take an Odyssey that will take you more time than necessary. If you arrive too late, you might find out that this investor no longer cares about you. Or in the case of Odysseus, he lost his wife. She actually eventually got married to another guy, and he had to go save her from like a monster sea dragon. Not to say that's going to happen to you, but worse things happen. So the key here is you need to know when you need to stop fundraising. This is a counterintuitive point. A lot of folks think, oh, I'm just going to fundraise forever. No. You need to stop fundraising. You need to choose a time that makes sense for you and your business. Now you have to go and close that investor. There's a lot of material online that tells you all the different tactics to be able to do that. I'm just going to tell you the 2 things that I think are important to know from first principles. And that is that investors are motivated by really 2 things. 1 is traction, and 2 is social proof. Traction is how good your company's doing. That includes getting a term sheet. And then 2 is the world of social proof, which is that if another investor who they respect and admire chooses to give you a term sheet, they'll go ahead and really want to give you a term sheet because we're social animals. The one parting thought I want to leave with you is this, is that a lot of people think that there are rules to fundraising, and being obsessed with tactics and rules and gimmicky things is not actually the way to go and get a successful fundraiser. In your journey, right, you want to tell the investor, I'm Odysseus, I'm going on a journey, you should join me. Now, they can be part of your tribe already and understand the language that you speak, or they're not part of your tribe. And your job is to tell them, you should join my tribe. And that's it. Once you do that, I think that you'll be able to go and complete your hero's journey. So best of luck on your quest, and we're happy to go and hear from you. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.